Faithfulness preserves kingdom, but compromise fractures anything God established. Welcome to day 83 of the 180-day Bible journey. Today we saw the rise and fall of Solomon, which reveals how obedience strengthens leadership, but pride and idolatry totally destroys it. In 1 Kings chapter 9, God appeared to Solomon the second time, and God promised him that his throne will be established as long as Solomon remains faithful to his commandments, to the things he asked him to do. And if Solomon did otherwise, God is going to desert, God is going to leave them, and he will turn his back to him and his descendants. Later on, we saw Solomon and the king of Tyre, Aram, making exchanges. Aram giving Solomon 540 talents of gold. And Solomon built other cities. He achieved a lot of great things, outstanding things that he did. Faithfulness will always sustain a kingdom, but little compromise here and there destroys it at the end of the day. In 1 Kings chapter 10, the queen of Sheba came to witness the wisdom and the glory of Solomon, bringing gifts, 120 talents of gold, perfumes, and other gifts that she brought. She saw the spirit of excellence, the spirit of quality, uniqueness that Solomon demonstrated. Solomon's word was outstanding. In fact, it was in this chapter that Solomon was described as being the richest of all men. His wealth was outstanding. Every year he had an inflow of over about 660 talents of gold coming in annually, apart from other revenues. He had 1,400 chariots, 12,000 horsemen. Silver was not even accounted for. It was seen like stones, just everywhere, not valued, worthless. Solomon built ships, merchant ships. He was into a lot of trading. And Solomon at this time has achieved a celebrity status in the whole earth. Wisdom will always attract honor, will always attract prosperity, but without obedience, that prosperity can become a trap and can become dangerous. As we're going to see in 1 Kings chapter 11, Solomon's affinity to foreign women led him to forsake the God of his fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and David, of course. He started building altars to other gods of his 700 wives and 300 concubines, these are the people that turned his heart away from God. God was angry with him and took 10 tribes from him. God orchestrated adversaries to rise up against him. God chose Jeroboam to reign over 10 cities, 10 tribes rather. And Solomon later died after ruling Israel for 40 years. Rehoboam, his son, took over the tribe of Judah. And we understand that the purpose of wealth is not just for ourselves, it's for godly living. But unfaithfulness opens the door to division, opens the door for the enemy to attempt to defeat us, as we see in the life of Solomon. In 1 Kings chapter 12, Rehoboam, Solomon's son, rejected the wise counsel of the elders, and rather he went with the ill counsel of the younger men. And the people revolted against him. And Jeroboam was now made king of Israel. And later on we saw Rehoboam fleeing to Jerusalem, which fulfilled the prophecy the Lord said that he's going to take away the kingdom from Solomon's lineage. God averted war between Israel and Judah because Rehoboam said, no, this cannot happen. But God cautioned him and said, this is his doing. And so God averted that war. But later on, Jeroboam made 2 golden calves for the people to worship because they felt Jerusalem was too far to go and worship. More so, he felt that if the people went to Jerusalem to worship, their heart would be turned back to Rehoboam. Pride divides what humility could have preserved. So we need to be careful about what we allow to prevail in our lives. As we see in Psalm 83, the psalmist was asking God to not keep silent, to not be at peace at the enemy's effort to attack and to take possession of what belongs to them. And they demand that the enemies will be frustrated and be confounded and be dismayed, and that God will still be known as the Most High God. God will always remain sovereign and supreme, even when nations rage, even when the enemy is planning, God will still reign sovereign. In the New Testament, in John chapter 18, here Judas, he betrayed Jesus, who was later arrested, brought before the high priest, and then we saw Peter trying to defend, and also he later denied Christ twice. Pilate cross-examined Jesus with various questions about discipleship, about his doctrine, about what he represents, asking Jesus so many of these questions. But later on, he found no fault in him and wanted to release Jesus, but the people revolted and said no, they wanted Barabbas to be released unto them, which is in a way fulfilling what was written concerning Jesus, that he was supposed to go to the cross. Jesus stands firm even when the whole world chooses to believe in a lie and chooses to be in darkness. And I believe that we stand also with Jesus. As Jesus stands in the truth, we also will stand with him in truth, in obedience, will not compromise. Even when we have prosperity, we will learn from the lesson and the life of Solomon, that prosperity without obedience fractures our opportunities with God, fractures what God establishes with us. And I pray that our prosperity will make us to become much more godly and to love God the more. In Jesus' name. Our memory verse is in 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 23. It says, so King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. God is not against giving us riches and giving us wisdom, but he wants us to worship him with it. Thank you for joining me on this day 83. I'll love to see you on tomorrow's broadcast, day 84. And I pray that we continue in this 180-day journey. Thank you and God bless you. I'm Alan Olonshola. I'll see you tomorrow.